So, as I just explained, we have the Buddha nature within our mind and ourselves. So, as practitioners of bodhicitta, this altruistic spirit of enlightenment, we actually determine that all sentient beings do not want suffering, but want happiness, like oneself. So we, in our daily prayer also, we say, may all sentient beings have happiness in its course, and may they be free from suffering in its course. So if you really mean by it, and then there is nothing, nobody amongst the sentient beings whom you can actually discriminate as being your evil and so forth. So, in the general structure of the teaching of the Buddha, the Buddha actually said that towards that all sentient beings are equally in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering, and so we have to work for their happiness. Whereas in the specific teaching of Tantra, then there are certain practices which are meant specifically for the practitioners themselves, and so we do, of course, have the conception of enemies and evil beings and ghosts and so forth. But in reality, I don't really see that we could call some beings as one's enemies and evil beings and so forth. So the other day I met the reincarnation of Genring Tempa. So I told him and others with him. So I really feel quite amazed when we say that some sentient beings as our enemies or evil beings and so forth. As practitioners of bodhicitta, in the beginning of the day, we do say, may all sentient beings have happiness and be free from suffering and so forth. But then in the evening, when we do some tantric rituals, we actually also utter these lines that are found in the ritual, saying that may these evil beings be overcome and so forth. And so there's a contradiction, I find. So, of course, in accordance with the needs or the dispositions of the different beings, we may have to do certain practices which are for longevity or for subjugation and so forth. But in reality, we should actually see all such beings as being same in not wanting happiness and not wanting suffering, like oneself. Like oneself. So the practice that we have a very firm foundation in the teaching of the Buddha, but when it comes to Tantra, if we miss the foundational, fundamental teachings, the Tantra could be used it is even given an analogy is given where it is said that it is practicing Tantra, if you're not careful and not adept at it, then it would be like a small child being put on a horseback, which is not a wild horse. So there's danger for the child of falling off that wild horse. So, of course, many practitioners of do tantric practice. I do tantric practice, but the crux of my practice is twofold: bodhicitta and that of the wisdom of emptiness, the view of emptiness. And so this view of emptiness or understanding of emptiness helps me to overcome this inappropriate rumination, and that in turn helps to reduce or grasp the negative emotions. So by using reasoning, that are given in, for example, the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara by Shantideva, it gives practice, the teaching on the exchanging self and others. So if you think about the self-cherishing attitude, of course, self-cherishing attitude is something that we are so used to since time beginningless. But if you keep being selfish all the time, you are not able to fulfill your own goal, leave alone helping others, fulfilling the goal of helping others. And instead of self-cherishing attitude, if you hold others to be more dear than yourself, then more important than yourself, then you will be able to accomplish your own goal as well as the goal of others. So the dual aim will be fulfilled through this. So by sitting on this throne, if I just tell you, or if you do such and such practices, you'll reach such and such goal, rather in a formal way, without really practicing them myself. And it will not be much of benefit. But but because I do practice these things that I teach others myself, and I'm not boasting about my practice, but it is the fact. So sometimes I have met people who say that, with regard to the understanding or the view, the insight into emptiness, it may be something that is historical. That happened in the past, that there were people who had gained insight into it. So regarding myself, I always hold myself as the lowest of all sentient beings, as it is said in this 8 verses of mind training. So if you really do practice and see the transformation it gives within yourself and brings within yourself, you will be able to have a taste of it. And